fellow passengers while, at the same time, avoiding eye contact at all times. 11 stops, 33 minutes. A group of Italian tourists were standing by the door, talking loudly to each other, their voices cutting through Lana's singing. Emer had lived in Italy for a bit teaching English, and she listened out for the familiar phrases, regretting how quickly she'd forgotten the language after she left. There was a girl in the group, tall and dark-haired and so shockingly, perfectly beautiful, it took all of Emer's self-control not to stare. As the train slowed down and entered Tower Hill Station, the group prepared to get off the train, gathering their bags off the floor and reassembling once more by the exit. Emer dragged her eyes away from the Italian bombshell, focusing on a woman standing a few feet further along the carriage. She was reading a book and, although Emer twisted her neck, she couldn't quite see the cover. The woman had short, bleach-blonde hair, and she was wearing the most amazing, hand-painted silk dress. Emer knew the dress was silk and knew it was hand-painted because she'd done little else last summer except browse images of hand-painted silk dresses, trying to find one she wanted to get married in. Before her wedding plans were cancelled when Nikki walked out on her. Emer lifted her phone, thinking she'd take a photo. She still held out hope of getting back with Nikki. That hope was the only thing keeping her going. If that happened, when it happened, then this was the dress she wanted to get married in. She switched the camera on and was getting ready to take the photo when the woman looked up from her book. The shock of recognition was instant. The eyes. She'd know them anywhere. But it was more than that. The shape of her nose, the way she tilted her head sideways as she stared back at Emer. Memory after memory slammed into her. So many memories she was drowning under them. Her throat closed and she couldn't breathe. She clawed the collar of her t-shirt, pulling it away from her neck as if that might help. A buzzing sound inside her head blocked out Lana's voice and all the other noises around her. Somehow she became aware that the train had stopped and the woman in the dress was putting her book into her pale pink leather rucksack and was stepping off the train. "Stop!" Emer's voice was hoarse, and the word was no more than a whisper. Forgetting about the plane she had to catch, she stood up and pushed her way through the crowds of people getting onto the train. On the platform, a blast of air hit her as the train sped away to the next station. Looking around, Emer tried to locate the woman, but there were too many people, and she couldn't see her amongst the crowd. She started to think she'd made a mistake, remembering all the other times, too many to count over the years, when she'd seen someone and thought for a split second, sometimes longer, that the person was Kitty. But this was different. She could feel it. A certainty deep inside her. The woman she'd just seen was Kitty. No doubt about it. A memory from earlier, sitting across from the two women interviewing her. Ursula's voice screeching inside her head, telling her she was useless and unemployable and a waste of space. Her voice blocking out everything else until Emer had found it impossible to focus on the questions she was being asked. A flash of blonde hair at the end of the platform. Emer pushed her way through the crowd, following the woman as she disappeared into the tunnel that led up to the exit. She walked with a faint limp. Easy to miss if you didn't know to look for it. The result of an accident when she was 4 years old. She'd fallen off a pony at the horse fair and broken her leg. Ever since, she'd walked with a slightly lopsided gait. "Kitty!" Several people turned to look at her, but not the woman limping into the tunnel. She was moving faster now, as if she'd heard her name and didn't want to be caught. As if she knew the person calling out to her was the same person who'd spent the last 23 years blaming herself for what had happened. The day Kitty